We're just a few days into the trade war, and already there have been several major changes made to Trump's original plan. Yesterday, the White House announced they would be granting U.S. automakers a one-month pause from the measures. And today, Trump's team also walked back the start date for a number of tariffs imposed on Mexico and Canada. This is the latest twist in Trump's trade policy and comes one day after a colorful phone call between Trump and Prime Minister Trudeau.
Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump, and I reiterated the facts. Our border is secure, and less than 1% of the illegal fentanyl entering the United States comes from Canada. Even so, we took action with our $1.3 billion plan to further strengthen our border. I also stressed that the tariffs the U.S. administration chose to impose will hurt American workers.
Tessa Bennett has the story for us tonight. Tessa, what's covered under this new trade exemption for Canada?
Manisa, the one-month pause on tariffs for Canadian imports applies to any product covered by the North American Trade Pact, USMCA. But according to the Associated Press, 62% of Canadian products would still face the tariffs as they're not part of the treaty.
Canada's ministers, officials, and I will continue to engage with our American counterparts. Our goal remains to get these tariffs, all tariffs, removed.
The execution of President Trump's tariff plan continues to evolve, keeping his country's closest allies on edge as they anticipate his next move. In addition to the short-term exemption for car makers in the U.S., Trump delayed the start date for Mexico and Canada's tariffs on anything that falls under the USMCA agreement until April 2nd. USMCA is the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, something negotiated by the president in his first term, making the three countries a free trade zone.
We've been treated very unfairly as a country. We protect everybody. We do everything for all these countries.
While this decision is a step towards removing trade barriers, reports indicate only about half of the Mexican goods imported to the U.S. and 30 to 40% of Canadian imports are covered by the agreement.
I would describe it as someone who's drawn to big, bold strokes, wanting to take action in fairly simple ways to create what he believes to be an exercise in power and a better grasp of an outcome for the United States.
Trump said the significant walkback came after a discussion with Mexico's president and negotiations between Canadian and American officials. It was notable, however, that Trump initially announced the reprieve for Mexico only, adding Canada after the fact. He has also expressed on social media his belief that Trudeau is using this trade war as an opportunity to remain Canada's prime minister, despite the fact that he is set to be replaced as Liberal Party leader on Sunday. In the meantime, Canadian leaders appear to be following through on previously promised retaliation measures. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has long been saying he would fight back at the tariffs, and he's ramping up the province's response.
He wants to declare an economic war on his closest friends, his closest allies in the entire world. It's not the American people. It's not the elected officials, because I talked to Republicans and Democrats. Not one Republican has told me this is a great thing. Matter of fact, but behind closed doors, they say it's a terrible thing.
Ford announced on Thursday he would be slapping a 25% surcharge on the electricity Ontario supplies to several states nearby. And on day one of the new measures, all American alcohol was pulled from the shelves of the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. Other provinces have followed suit, taking similar steps to reduce the amount of American alcohol product being purchased. And the message seems to be getting through. The parent company of Jack Daniel's says Canada pulling booze off of shelves is even worse than the tariffs themselves. In the western part of the country, Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith has laid out a plan for that province's response to the tariffs. Smith has long been criticized for lacking a Canada First mentality when it comes to fighting back. And while she has rolled out countermeasures in Alberta's liquor stores along with the rest of the country, Smith says she's making no changes to the price of oil and gas exported from the province for the time being.
I see a lot of collective unity around protecting the interests of Canadians and their various representatives. So I'm anticipating this to be something that will continue.
Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc said in a post on X, Canada would not be proceeding with the second wave of tariffs against U.S. products until April 2nd, while the country is still expecting steel and aluminum taxes next week.